At least some of us get to enjoy, or some of you get to enjoy that particular privilege thanks to the Easter celebration. Well, on that note, I would like to welcome you to another insightful edition of Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM. My name is Sage Babalola. Today we're going to talk about quite a number of things that have happened in the past week. And as we are slowly starting to emerge from the embrace of the Easter holiday, yes, we find ourselves diving into very, very impactful currents that, well, like I said before, affect our nation very, very deeply. And as we are highlighting the beauty of Easter and everything that it teaches us, we must not forget that others spent that particular time in mourning. And this week has been marked by a lot of unprecedented violence, dare I say, particularly in the northeastern and central regions of Nigeria. We've witnessed loss of over 200 lives in the past month, and if we're being specific, in the past week, at least 100 people have died across different very heart-wrenching statistics, I should say. It's just an indication, or it reflects the crisis of security and the deeper societal fractures that call for immediate attention and a dialogue. And there's a lot of conversation around what this particular country, and you'll be wondering why I'm deciding to open the show like this. It's just over the weekend I spent time looking at the papers. Every morning it's like a routine. I open the papers, and the first thing across all papers, the headline is always about reports of individuals that have been killed, individuals that have been kidnapped, and then right there in the corner there's a story about Easter. And so that contradiction, it affects me very deeply, that as some people are gathering together, sharing meals with their family members and holding hands of their friends and family, others are rolling beside a mass grave, unfortunately mourning the passing of their loved one, avoidably because it was an attack. This was not death by natural causes. These individuals were killed. For what reason, we really have not been able to put a finger on it, and that's why I'm deciding to open the conversation like this. And we must also address the growing controversy surrounding the absence of the president, especially at a critical time like this. We know that his aides continue to assure the public that he will return post-Easter, but there's still a lot of questions around, leadership accountability, especially in moments of crisis like this one. All of these stories we would review as we begin to flip through the front pages of our dailies. I just really wanted to give us an insight into what to expect as we begin conversations this particular morning. So with the direction of we'd also explore the sentiments that have followed these reports. We'll try welcome to Trends in the Papers. I'm Sage Babalola. For outside will be joining us soon enough via the phone as we show you, or let me read to you, some of the trending headlines over the weekend. And the stories that we have this morning more or less is a development or a furtherance of the stories that worries Easter. Clerics decry fresh wave of killings, express hope for Nigeria's survival. President Tinubu directs military action against forces of evil in Nigeria. The Guardian further reports report of Shetima's refused entry into villa on NYC members. These are some of the few stories that the Guardian had reported over the course of the weekend. Now moving on to mass killings. Exam malpractice. WAEC bars 574 schools from conducting 2025 while deadly attack leaves many dead. Kano APC welcomes Kwakwanso's speculated President Buhari 2027 PDP chieftains kick. Please bring us down from this cross. Kuka begs his alarm over resurgence of kidnapping in Edo Rivers communities. Jos celebrates Tunde Onokoya's chess marathon world record. He set a new Guinness World Record for the longest chess marathon in Times Square in New York. And moving on, Rivers crisis, terrorist leader in Katsina. And that's where I would cap the weekend report for this morning. If this is your first time, reports that have been recorded as the headlines. We sometimes even look through center pages stories just to give you our in-house analyst joining us to further analyze these stories as we report them. I'm Sage Babalola, and after our 45 minutes of conversation on radio is over. Forward will come on board at the moment so that maybe even comment briefly on some of the weekend stories before we then delve into the stories that we have for this morning. Again, don't forget to join us via social media. It's very necessary that you join us on social media so that you are aware every time we drop a new post, or if you miss the programs, you have the liberty of going on there to catch up on the program.
Morning, Sage. How are you doing?
I'm
Happy Easter Monday.
Happy Easter Monday to you. I hope you're having a great time. Fuad, I did read weekend reports, and there were a lot of things, great things happening when you're overshadowed by a report of killings and deaths and people mourning and off this particular mourning. So first of all, I would like to talk about, come out to debunk that's not any form of attack or anything like that. There was a fire in a market, and it was, I believe, the 11th of April, and so I handled that since the 11th of April. And also, there were reports that the vice president was refused, not able to really do anything. Why does he not have any authority, even in the absence of the president? And then there was this, he was not denied entry into the villa, and some people just want to insinuate a subliminal crisis that
well, the first one I think is good that Lagos State government has come out to debunk that. I don't know whether I understand that. It's probably to push a narrative.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because again, if you take a story, it probably will be becoming as a deliberate attempt to just disinform the people. Whether the vice president has been stopped from accessing the villa. Well, I don't know how anybody would have used that kind of story. I think if you get to the point where a whole vice president will be stopped from accessing the Aso villa. All manner of things happen, and vice president, for example, will not can't get access into the Aso villa. It's not anybody's property. The media aid actually put out a statement to debunk the rumor and say that there's nothing truthful about that particular information.
The victims of the killings, especially in Plateau State. Well, I believe a visit would be happening today. So we're still waiting for now that the president is not around, and there's no information or indicator that he would be coming around soon. It was a fortnight, and then it became after the Easter holiday. So we don't know whatever assurances he intends. Sad stories, the chess player.
Sure, definitely.
61 hours. He broke that record. Although he had said he wanted to go 70 hours, but 63 hours of time to relax. And it's not easy. This is a mental task, and then it is a very physical task. It takes a lot from you. But he has indeed broken the record. And of the Chess and Slum initiative, where he takes homeless children from poor background, children who sleep under the bridge. He teaches them to play chess. I think these children can do it. Imagine a child who doesn't even speak English properly playing chess on an international.
Fantastic one, Sage. And I think it's good that on the Easter Monday, we're starting to take perspective of your background, your social standing, and you're looking up to someone for motivation. You're looking to someone for mentorship. Let's go read up the story. There was even no spoon. Not even a silver spoon.
But he got admission to study medicine, but they didn't have money to pay his fees, and that's why he didn't. To fund the program, so sure about what the future holds. And you're looking for some sort of motivation. This is a real story. This is not fiction. It's not like something that is put together to excite you or to get you motivated. We're talking about real, for the longest chess marathon.
Marathon, yeah. So 63 hours.
Yes.
This is verified. This is not, something that will take too long. There's a lot to do. And I like the fact that, look, it's not just about himself. It's focused on slums, is focused on children, of less privileged children, taking them out of the slum, but also ensuring that he pulls other children along to also continue to motivate the future generation. Fantastic from $20. Super proud of it. Always proud of
environment.
It.
And if a person is gaining admission to study medicine, that's an indication that he actually was brilliant. They just did not have the resources to pursue. Yeah. And then, he just charted a different course for himself, and we celebrate with him. Well, you're still listening to it in the papers. Yes.
Yeah, just 1 minute. You remember Professor Lubai, his lecture on emergency talents, and because he didn't end up in the bus park. He didn't end up a drug addict. He got admission to study medicine, inclusive right of the rich, make education affordable and quality for even the children. Need all the talent in the world to thrive. So it's still a conversation that will continue to have, and I hope that I got ended up as Jordans because they could not go to school. Their children could not.
8.3 FM, the sound of Lagos today is going to be rather interesting. It's a lot. Turn to straight up Sure, you did. Why me need to? Even at some point, nodding in agreement with some of the few points he made on certain issues. And I also listened to former Ekiti State Governor Ayo Fayose. I would play some parts of this conversation as we proceed. We'll be looking at the papers. You forgive me if we're going from paper to paper, because some of these who had quite a lot to say over the weekend. There's an entire 20 minutes of him addressing specifically. But let's start like this, Fuad. Nyesom Wike and his media chair. Just 1 minute. We have some part here where he was talking about the state of emergency, but also simultaneously play you the comments from Ayo Fayose regarding this. Doesn't seem very confident, right, about the PDP's ability to really remain a very strong structure or organ to wrestle power or wrest power from the APC come 2027.
I'm not happy. I wanted outright removal of the governor. As a politician, I'm not happy. But for the interest of the state, the president did not. He was gone. So when people say, President, I said, look, if that's where they should be worshipping, they should be worshipping Mr. President. Every morning, go to the president, can we wash your feet for serving us? How? Mind you, Supreme Court has said, no money can go to local government when it's not democratically elected. Mind you, Supreme Court has said nobody will go to the state without appropriation. In that situation, there was crisis. All institutions will be shut down. Health will be crisis. Education will be crisis. It is not in my place to make it good for the governor. And that's what I'm saying as a politician. It is not in my place to make the governor to be happy. It's not me. My business is not to make him comfortable. And that's why there's power play. Now, the point I'm trying to make, Mr. President came in and saved the situation, saved the vast people.
The worst thing in PDP is the lying spirit, the deception. People are doing something in the afternoon, they are doing another one in the night. When I was in PDP, when I was governor, I stood by PDP. Even when you have sitting governors defecting, I never defected. We have made our impact, and was not as hot as I was at the time. I handed over to him as my younger brother. I was but when you got to carry your wahala, you sempe small. That was why I told you, when the wiki is fighting, we must find a way, what I call melembe, so that you are not consumed by the trouble. All we need is peace in PDP.
Melembe. Is that when a person like Nyesom Wike fights, you have to find a way to the people of Rivers should be going to the president and washing his feet in appreciation for declaring that state of emergency and governor being removed completely, and the president should be worshipped for coming in to step up and his.
All right. First and foremost, I need to establish this, and I think it's important for me to say that. Ordinarily, these are two individuals that I really would have avoided wanting to talk about. You might want to ask yourself, where is the place of morality? Where is the place of decency? Where is the place of decorum? And where is the place to tell you, say, that look, because of the very flawed electoral system we have in the country, the kind of dirty politics we play, you can produce any, does not really matter. Anybody can become anything. So that's established. And according to him, he wanted the governor gone. And in fact, the governor was already gone. And that, look, it was the president that now saved the governor. And to him, as a politician, it's not in his place to make the governor comfortable. Now, it's not an avoidable crisis. And a crisis that came about because of the kind of politics they play. A politics devoid of morality. A politics of it is just politics, no matter what happens, let us just play the politics. A politics that brings no good governance to impeach the governor. He would have done it a long time, even before the state of emergency was declared. Say, remember, until I think the last time a governor was impeached, and you saw that a lot of those impeachments were reversed by the court.
Yeah.
Because it is not that easy. It was done with impunity to governor. Because of what it takes, really. to impeach a governor. And you could see that, look, the state has to impeach the governor. And that was why you saw that they were going after the chief judge of the state. Remember, there was these numbers, yes, to impeach the governor. But the process in itself is like that it was going to be extremely difficult. Because these are options. Whether you like it or not, the president and Sᴏᴜ are in sync on this. You saw the way they said the president congrats Fubara. So impeachment wasn't going to be possible. Forget all the noise, all the bragging. Like I said, so we have to keep talking about it. But at the end of the day, the option was to use the back 80. Excessive use of power, of declaring a state of emergency in a state that had no reason. It's talking about, money cannot be sent if it is not appropriated for. Spend the money. The local government and everything is doing. Where is he getting the powers to do it? It's in a dream world. It's El Dorado for him. It is political victory for him. He can continue to celebrate. He can enjoy himself. And so far it's about politics. Let's continue to watch and see what comes out of it. Sorry. Yeah. Well, just one.
Yes.
To Fᴜᴜᴜ, you could see that even in the statement, he was almost affirming that he's a former member of the PDP, especially to the APC. I don't think any serious PDP member even sees Fᴜᴜᴜ as a member. I don't think so. I'm in your opposition to the APC in 2027. Just rule the PDP out of it. Forget about the PDP. APC in 2027, can we just all forget about the PDP? They already showed that it's not a. What else can we say that this is a party that has no direction for now?
Well, this is still trends in the papers on Milan 98.3 FM. My name is Sage Papalola. I'm here talking with Fouad. We're reviewing the papers and giving you an insight into all the things that are going on as reported by our dailies. When I believe billion naira in interest. I'm talking about the interest that they get from loans. And they made about 14 trillion, 14.26 trillion MPCs, 27.50, which means that deposit bank are probably doing some 32, 35. And so 9 banks cumulative are celebrating the banks are making interest, but we really know the situation of those who are taking these loans and whether or not they've been able. You'd like to comment on Fouad, or the story is clear and we should move to another one?
I think it's just again the question of the banks making good money. What I was just reserved for the top people. How much of these loans have gone to the SME to engender development at that level, business development, are they doing? It's a banking structure that only helps the super rich who have access to these loans. How well can SMEs also pay 30-33% interest rate on loans?
Well, say presidency pushes back as Bakare Kuka criticized Tinubu's policies. Now, former presidential Tinubu, Nigeria risk a popular uprising unless the administration changes course on security and the economy. He argued that Nigeria demands Joseph-type visionaries and not mottos. About 20 minutes long, but we'll play you 5 minutes of the whole conversation and have Fouad Side say 1 or 2 about what Pastor Tunde Bakare has said about the state of the nation.
Standing hard to do the needful for Nigeria's turnaround for the betterment of our citizens. Dear Nigerians, the past few months since that admonition in January have shown that those responsible for steering the course of our nation lack the humility and the character this moment demands of leaders. Instead, those entrusted with power appear determined to destabilize what is left of our political institutions and have committed themselves to obliterating the guardrails of constitutional governance. From the theater of the absurd, staged in Rivers State, with puppets and strings controlled by directors in Abuja, to the dance of shame performed by the National Assembly in their rush to suspend the Constitution and endorse through the back door the usurpation of powers by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, from the Senate shameless bid to silence Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan for demanding that the President of the Nigerian Senate sued up Victoria misfit who tried in vain to silence the distinguished citizens attempting to testify on behalf of Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan. It is clear that our so-called leaders are determined to turn Nigeria into a mafia state. The two main contenders these two arms of government suffered the worst forms of arrested development because they were the direct victims of the military era. But after 26 years of uninterrupted democracy, one must ask how much longer before our institutions finally mature. While it is not in dispute that our institutions and constitution are inadequate and executors of the constitution, the quality of leadership in Nigeria has become so repugnant that citizens must declare a state of emergency on governance, demanding that every aspiring public office holder undergo rigorous psychiatric evaluation before seeking election. Dear Nigerians, the events that unfolded on the floor 25 are an apt and timely illustration of our leadership deficit. Senate, the word, originates from the Latin senatus, which means council of elders. Elders, as used in this context, does not necessarily connote chronological age, but a demonstration of such wisdom, decorum, and decency that commands respect. Senator Onyekachi Nweboye's descent into street-level vitriol was an affront to the essence of the hallowed chambers through the mud. Dr. Mʃɪɪ in recognition of our accomplishments in political reform and gender inclusion advocacy, was appointed chairwoman of the Board of Women Political Leaders, WPL, a global body based in Brussels, Belgium, in February 2023. In that capacity, it is our responsibility to speak up whenever a female Nigerian politician is subjected to the misogynistic idiosyncrasies of politics in Nigeria. It was in that capacity that she appeared to speak for Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, who has leveled allegations of sexual harassment against the President of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Godswill Akpabio. There's clear evidence in reports and standing hard to do the needful.
Forgive me, but we had to quote that short. We really don't have the luxury of individuals who have been appointed and even elected to cater to certain aspects of our democracy. He outlined a 5-point plan that includes creating a consolidated amelioration incentive scheme to cushion the effect of the situation on the poor. He spoke of national intelligence and heal and unite the nation through justice and reconciliation. He did highlight some of the things of 2024. These are some of the issues that he had highlighted. Fuad, you've been able to watch the entire interview and you have knowledge of everything that he rather on the comments that have been made by Pastor Tunde Bakare and his recommendation to rectifying these challenges.
And it's difficult, really. It's difficult, extremely difficult. I'm sure if there's anybody out there who has consistently followed our analysis of the issues, will see that there's nothing different. Tunde Bakare has highlighted on the state of the nation. The fact that our democracy seems to be descending into some form of tyranny. The fact that there are questions, real questions about governance, commitment to the ideals of democracy, of our institutions. And while our institutions are going down and down, unquote, as Pastor Tunde Bakare has put it. And how do you create a mafia state? Structure of the mafia state. And so they become more relevant, more powerful than the institutions, and so they subdue everything. And that was why as part of the statement, Pastor Tunde Bakare said that, look, no man is wise enough, nor good enough to be trusted with unlimited power. And that was why I think it was Benito Mussolini that also said it, that look, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts, absolutely. That is why the guardrail is also the reason why there's checks and balances. So you have an executive, you have the judiciary and the legislature. We can live in denial about it. I understand perception very well. I've always talked about it. Everything we are saying this morning now, I'm sure people listening to us will pick what they want to pick, hear what they want to hear. Fact is the fact. Is this a democracy we fought for? Dictators in Agbada. So what is the difference? And that's what Pastor Tunde Bakare is saying. Clear issues of nation building we have not been able to fix. It is because individuals from one government to the other, it takes the willingness to do the right thing. It takes adherence to the rule of law. But what do we have now? One of the few friends of one of the friends of the president is Professor Wole Soyinka. He also touched him. Look at the National Assembly. Pastor Tunde Bakare was highlighting the Natasha issue. But beyond the Natasha issue, is the 10th National Staff Assembly an assembly that is so proud to pay allegiance to the president rather than the people of Nigeria? How do you feel in a democracy that there should not be common sense in what we do? It is just about politics. Where is the decency? Where is the decorum? Where is the respect for rule of law? Some perception. I understand that, look, no matter what you say, there are people who will see these issues on the lens and frame of politics. Every other thing does not matter. But we are saying that, look, it cannot president. It's still a conversation that the president today. I can imagine if they are in your position. I can imagine what Bayo Onanuga will be writing by now. I can imagine the kind of statement he will be making. But these are the same set of people who did who order. But again, like we've always said, to our trenches, we always say we shall overcome. We are telling today, there's still a lot of time for them to correct these ills. There's still enough shall overcome.
Well, we can post a link to that particular discourse on our social media platform if you'd like. Easter, yes, and so that is why that whole conversation is happening at this time. So you can. Kashim Shettima is going to be visiting Plateau State. We also reported this.
I know Nigerian can be president without the South.
Well,
yes, now you speak about that.
Speaking of insecurity, the father is seeking help because his daughter remains in captivity 8 months after her abducted in a few months since we saw a resurgence of Boko Haram. 4 children were also kidnapped in Delta State. And Kuka has told the president Nigeria is... has said that, the president should please bring us down from this particular cross. And state police is off the agenda. That's all the reports we can take for this morning. We're going to step aside very briefly so that we can take some commercials. And